The 89th Texas legislature is kicking into gear as thousands of bills have been filed. We ask our state legislators to join us here at TPPF to give us a little more attention to some of those bills, ensuring you know why they were filed and what they aim to do. Today we'll be highlighting one of those bills, House Bill 2744, filed by Representative Cody Vasut. This is the layout. I'm Selene Rodriguez, Campaign Director for TPPF's Secure and Sovereign Texas campaign. Today I'm joined by Representative Vasut. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Selene, for having me.
More importantly, thank you for taking the lead in filing one of our E-Verify bills this session.
You bet. Happy to.
So let's dig into this one a little bit. This is one of the handful of E-Verify bills that have been filed. I want to know what sets your bill apart from the other ones.
You know, that's a good question. I haven't compared them line by line. I mean, I can tell you what my motivation is to ensure that we are having businesses following the law. And so the bill is targeted at contractors, employers, and political subdivisions to ensure that they're not employing illegal aliens, frankly, in violation of the law already. But what we do is we add a civil penalty that gets triggered if you knowingly hire somebody that's an illegal immigrant. And the knowing status is you're presumed to know if you don't participate in E-Verify. So it's a way of kind of pushing them to participate in the E-Verify program.
No, that's wonderful. But your bill also, it goes into the public sector, like you just mentioned, but it also goes into the private sector. So why is that a necessary step at this time?
Well, I mean, the issue that we're trying to address is individuals violating our immigration laws, coming over here to work. Now, they are drawn to Texas for economic reasons, by and large, right? And so if we're going to ensure that we have a fair and lawful immigration system, we need to make sure that we are not incentivizing people to come over here illegally. And so I call it the magnet effect, right? So E-Verify and ensuring that our employers at all levels across the economy are employing people who are lawfully present, we cut off an incentive for people to immigrate illegally.
Right, which is one of the leading magnets of illegal immigration
Absolutely.
into Texas. Currently, what are the standards for E-Verify in Texas?
As I understand it, they apply to certain state subcontractors, sexually oriented business, and a few others, but they don't extend to political subdivisions or private employers, which is essentially what my bill, and I understand a few others are addressing, trying to fill that gap to make sure that we're expanding what the E-Verify program is applicable to.
Okay, great. And so some of the issues in the past with the E-Verify laws we already have is what's the compliance mechanism? In the past, some people thought it was Texas Workforce Commission, and then they came out and said, no, it's not us. Does your bill add any of those compliance mechanisms?
So the compliance mechanism in my bill is for the Attorney General to be able to investigate a complaint and do a civil penalty enforcement action. The way it works is if you're found in violation where you didn't participate in E-Verify, therefore you knowingly hired an illegal immigrant, you are subject to a $10,000 fine, and then within 30 days of the enforcement action being decided, you have to fire the person. And so it's really targeted at two things. One, ensuring that people are not actually employed here illegally, so that's the firing aspect, but also that people participate in E-Verify, and that's the civil enforcement penalty of $10,000 per violation.
No, that's wonderful. And then, so a lot of people look at border security. They agree with border security, but not a lot of people look internally and think, well, what can the state do to cut off that magnet? So I'm very grateful that you are. So my last question is, what is the outlook for E-Verify this session?
I think it's positive. I think that we've had several bills. I know that I think Carl Tepper has one and I have one. I think the committees are structured in such a way that it has a good chance of moving. And I think everybody is really focused on this issue, right? It's one thing to seal the border, and of course Texas has been participating in that, but now with President Trump we have a federal enforcement actually occurring at the border and dropping the number coming here illegally. But we have to have structural changes to prevent this from happening in the future. I don't know who's going to be president in 4 years. I don't know who's going to be president in 10 years, right? I need to make sure that the law in Texas is set up in such a way that it doesn't incentivize illegal immigration, because we have seen firsthand when you have the incentives for illegal immigration and the federal government not doing its job, Texans suffer. And so that's what we're trying to address this session.
Well, I could not agree more, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.